Hi everyone, I'm back out Hayes Castle. Now as you can see behind me, the weather is still a little bit blowy. I was here 2 days ago. I had about a 3-hour session here. I did hook 2 fish, but I didn't get them on the camera. I didn't think it was worth doing any filming on this day, so I was just giving it a go. But then as soon as I get the cameras on, nothing much was happening. But the conditions were quite extreme. It was very hard work. It was hard work just to hold the rod. So have a look at this. You got blown over. Okay, so today we've got nothing like that. Now that wind was blowing into this corner for about 3 days continuous. So I don't know if it's moved a lot of food into this area. We don't know, so I can try that. But my approach today, again, is with the intermediate braid. But I've put on a 6 foot. I think it's 6 foot, might be six foot tippet. Now the idea there is I can fish at different levels. So if I want to keep the fly higher, I'll just move it a little bit quicker and use the wind to keep it higher. Obviously drop it down a bit deeper, mend the line, get the fly down. And obviously the max I can go is with the intermediate braid. You know, I can get down a good 8-9 foot if I need to. So the pattern I'm using, or the fly I'm using, is one that I was using a week ago up in Garnfruit. Now, the fishing up there for everybody on that day was quite slow. It was later afternoon and I thought I'd just try this pattern. I had one in the box. I had this particular one which is blue. I have a couple of the reds, and I think there was like a greeny coloured one. Now the blue one, the fish really loved. I lost count as to how many fish I had on this until eventually I got snapped. So I've tied up a few more, and I've put that on. That is in there. So yeah, we'll give that a go, see what happens. I'll do a faster figure of 8 just to cover the top. And fast, I mean this speed. Not that fast. There is certainly plenty of fish in here. Oh, when I was here the other day, and that bad weather, I was over on the island there looking into the water, and I seen a huge fish, well into double figures, and it just swam about 2 rod lengths out from me, just swam right past me about 4 foot deep. My fly was right up in the middle of the water. By the time I tried to retrieve that and try and plonk a fly on his nose, the fish was out of sight. But certainly one of the bigger of the fish I've seen in here for quite a while. Well, I'm just slowing up the retrieve a bit now. Steady figure of 8. Mend that line a bit. It was getting picked up by the wind a bit too much. It was speeding the fly up. Another way of getting the fly down, walk down the bank. Just by walking down the bank like that, gives me a bit of slack. Okay, I don't think the fly is getting down deep enough, so I've got 2 options. One is the slow sink braid, or to go down on the windward bank and fish against the wind and just slow figure of 8, keep in contact with the fly. Okay, so Oh, fish just followed it in then again. Just missed him. Now I'll always cast across the margins when I'm fishing on a windward bank, and my retrieve will be anything from quite slow to pretty fast. Now the speed of the retrieve is to imitate, it may be fish fry darting around in the margins, or something a lot smaller that's coming off the wind. Tell you what I've got on, it's a bit like a size 14 and it looks a bit like a blue bottle. I haven't got a clue what it's called because I just make them up myself, you know. There. What I'll do is I'll come round and give you both a fly. Okay, so I've had a bit of fishing time. I've just met two guys who were on holiday down here, and for the last probably hour I've just been helping them out. Now they themselves, they didn't make any contact with any fish, so what I done then was set them up with a couple of flies each. Then they mentioned that the wives enjoy these fish. They've been to this water before last year, and that they enjoy eating these fish. They had about an hour before they had to leave, so it's a shame that I didn't have more time with them. Perhaps could have gone through a lot more stuff with them, but it was good. I think they went away very happy. As I say, they had given them 2 flies each, a spool of tippet, there's fish on, oh he's off, tippet, and because they wouldn't hook in the fish, I decided that, so I got them a fish each to take home to have to eat. Now apparently these fish in here are very, very good eating fish. The quality of the water, as you can see with the underwater shots, it is brilliant. So yeah, they're very, very happy. I do enjoy it. I enjoy seeing people come out, benefit from something like this, so if I can help them, I'm more than happy. Okay, I thought I'd take this opportunity. Fishing's gone a bit quiet. The boys are busy working around the edges here. If you can see in the background, we got all these posts. Well, they're setting them into the ground. so they're banging away with the machines. I don't know if that affects the fishing. It might put some sort of vibration in the ground, it might be amplifying in the water. But what I'm going to do is go through these braids with you. Now, why I prefer the braids, first of all, is if you've seen the conditions that I sometimes fish, which is a bit more extreme. If I was fishing with an 8-10 foot tippet or more, I'd be struggling. I think I'd be spending more time untangling everything. Whereas with the braids, I can fish down to 2 foot tippet and I can get away with a lot more. The presentation on the water is normally very good. Now, the braids I prefer are 5 foot in length. The reason why I stick to 5 foot, I've got a 10 foot rod. I've got my braided loop on the end held together with the sheath. Now, I never like to have the sheath ever come inside the top eye of the rod. I've seen this happen a good few times before, and certainly with some of the younger boys when I'm taking them out teaching them fly fishing. Whereas on one occasion we were on this water many years ago, told him about it, he was playing the fish, and next minute fish took off with all his kit. What happens obviously is that the top eye and the weight of the fish on that can sometimes dislodge your sheath. Then you're reliant on the braid and any glue you put there. But with that coming in and out the eye several times as you're playing the fish, can loosen it, and therefore the whole lot's gone. So I avoid that. So the rod's 10 foot. I've got 10 foot of braid, which means then that on average, if you say 5 foot is a good round figure of tippet, that means when I'm playing a fish, I can easily reach it with the net. What you've got to remember is when the fish is on, the rod's bending away from you. So that could be another 2, 3, 4 foot of bend in the rod. So that puts it further away and you're going to be unable to reach the fish in the net. So that is why I prefer the 5 foot braid. Now the braids themselves are loop to loop, so they're very easy to change over because you have the floater, the intermediate as I have here, slow sink and fast sink. So they're tapered, so it means then that the power delivery from your fly line is sent through to the tippet, so turnover and presentation is a lot better. Now, when I'm using, obviously why I would change from the other, I don't often use the sinking and the fast sink very often. In the winter months I do. Most of the time it'll be the intermediate, and then a good bit of the time sometimes the floating one. So the intermediate is a very good all-rounder, I find. So it covers most patterns that I fish. Then the floating one, which I love about, is when I'm buzzer fishing in the months of, say, middle of March, April and May, when it's at its best. If the fish are, for instance, say 4, 5, 6 foot down or a bit more on buzzers, I'll go intermediate. If they start coming into the from the surface down to say 4 foot, I'll put the floating braid on. So with the floating braid, I can quite easily put 2 foot of tippet. So with the floating braid, it's virtually on the surface, and then the buzzer can hang 2 foot, 3 foot, whatever below it. So that's your straight line buzzer fishing for me, and it works really well, and it means you're in contact with your fly all the time. So it's a very successful method and really enjoyable to fish. So that's mainly the reasons as to me with these braids. There's probably a a lot of other different reasons that I can't think of at the moment, but mostly it's the presentation, the turnover allows me to fish in more extreme conditions where a lot of these guys can't. And as I say, being that they're interchangeable is ideal. So I can go out and spend a bit more money on a quality floating line. I don't have to worry about sink tips, midge tips, things like that, because I've got my braids. Does the same thing. So what I'd say is, yeah, spend a bit more money, get a good quality. I wouldn't say totally low stretch, because sometimes low stretch, I don't know if it means that by getting some of the very low stretch lines that it compromises on the memory. But if you can pick a good line up with very little memory in it, and that you got not too much stretch, then you've got yourself a good fly line, and then just work with the braids from there. When I want a team of flies, then obviously I'll put my airflow line on that's got a welded loop, and that enables me then to have a much longer tippet and my droppers with the flies on. I can't believe this. What happened is I was casting in, I just let it go. That fish is gone for ages out in that lake. And it doesn't look a bad fish neither. But didn't even have my hand on the reel or nothing. I was just cast out, left it there. I was busy looking on the floor and I just heard my reel shooting off. And this is what I end up with. Let's hope we get a good look at this fish, because it doesn't look a bad fish at all. He looks pretty good from there. I tell you what, he's a right scrapper. It took me a while to get the camera on. Whoa, really nice. What a treat. So I'm set up with the same fly again. God, that looks gorgeous in the water there. Oh, look at it. That shot off across. It was in the middle of the lake before I knew it. Lovely.